I'm back. This is Pilgrims Digress. I am an American by birth, Southerner by blood, New Englander by choice. From vacation in North Conway, a staple New England vacation. First, we were at Lincoln, where we went to Clark's Trading Post. My son got bored of the Bears. This is what the world has come to. The dancing, basketball playing, swinging, eating ice cream bears are not cool enough for the kids anymore. Sad state of affairs. Otherwise, it's a great place. I love that place. Clark's Trading Post. If you've been there, beware of the train ride. There's some mischievousness going on around that. But we were able to stay at this excellent hotel because we sat in a timeshare meeting for 90 minutes. This dude was trying to sell his timeshare. We was like, nope. My wife is like, let me do all the talking. So I took care of the children, and she just nodded and smiled and said, we have student loans. Free night at the hotel, and we get a super discounted Disney World trip. I'll take the podcast listeners on with me whenever that happens. There's a bunch of rigmarole we got to do with that. Fill out this paper. You can't go now. Can't go here. Got to go on a Monday. Yeah, we'll make it happen. So we went to Clark's Trading Post. Then we made our way over to Conway, where we were with my brother and parents. And we stayed right in the middle of town. We did the whole shebang. Santa's Village. We saw Santa. We rode all the rides. Then we went to Storyland. And I like Storyland better for you New Englanders that are listening. I don't know why. It's close. It was closer to Conway where we were, but I don't know. It's just something about Storyland I like a little better. The rides are more fun for adults too there. My daughter, who's 4, she got to have tea with Cinderella, and that was hilarious. And Cinderella came out. She was all theatrical. She's like, hello, I'm going to teach you how to drink tea and eat crumpets and whatever. And when my kid got done eating her cookies, there was like 10 or so and some tables of 4. And they were all 4, 5, 6-year-old girls. And so there's about 20 little girls there. And she says, I'm done. Way in the back. So that embarrassed us. But yet it was awesome. So she got to meet Cinderella and blah, blah, blah. It was a great thing. Best $12 I spent in a while. So Storyland was great. All that stuff is cool. It's very old. My wife went there when she was a kid, so it's a fun little New England tradition to do. So we're still in summer. I'm still a teacher. I start on August 26th. Sad face. Tear emoji. But until then, I'm running hard through Pilgrims Digress. I appreciate everybody sticking with me through the week or so hiatus. I'm going to keep trying to churn out an episode once a week, whether it be with a guest like it is today or with myself telling stories, maybe a history lesson here or there. And we'll get going. Thanks again for listening, for sticking with me. I am your new upstart podcaster. Nobody else but me. You want to know about New England? You don't know what's going on here? You stick with Pilgrim. You stick with the Digress. You stick with Pilgrim's Digress. Still the summer. I've got my 10-year anniversary coming up. Insert cheesy sound effect. So we're trying to figure out where to go. New Hampshire, Vermont, Western Mass. We want to be able to drive there because we're going to be away from our kids. But it'll be the first time we've been away from our kids for more than like 1 or 2 nights. So I'll be posting some questions about that on the social medias about where we should be going. We're thinking about northern New Hampshire. We're thinking about Green Mountains. So we've done the city a lot. We've done Boston and New York, and we did Portland, Maine. All great towns, but we're looking to get into the country where we can get some what I call GDPQ. Gosh darn peace and quiet. This is a family-friendly podcast. Gosh darn peace and quiet. That's what I call it. So hit me up on social media. I'll be asking about that. I'm on the Instagrams at Pilgrims Digress _NE. Twitter at Pilgrims Digress. And on the Facebook at Pilgrims Digress. Feel free to talk to me, talk at me, make fun of me. But most importantly, get on the iTunes and give me that 5-star review. If you want to help me at all get going, if you know me, if you've been friends with me for like 10 years since I've been here, you know who I'm talking to. Yeah, you. Get on the iTunes, give me a review, then tell somebody else to do it. I appreciate it. So today I have with me Erika Johnson of Wilmington. Let me read you the quote. She's been in the paper. This This gal likes beer so much, she's been in a paper about it. This is from a few years ago. Beer enthusiast Erika Johnson of Wilmington has built up a following of more than 3,300 on Instagram. Check her out. She's at BostonBeerGirl_EJ. As of that writing, it was 3,300. As of currently, it's at 4,600. Can you believe it? She is blowing up on what she calls beer Instagram, and the whole time she was talking, I wanted to call it Beerstagram, but that was a really nerdy joke, and I didn't want to embarrass myself. I'll just do it in front of you people. That following has earned her invitations to brewery events and recently brought one brewer to her home with samples in hopes she could generate some hype about the product. She knows what's up. She's the person to go to when it comes to beer in New England. I saw her on Instagram. I saw how popular she was. I saw how great her opinions and takes were on beer. I love beer. I loved her account. I loved her content. I reached out. Here she is, Erika Johnson on beer in New England. The seashore. Are you going?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's recording.
Good. Hi, Erika. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I just got back from vacation in North Conway, and I'm ready to get back in the saddle as far as podcasting goes, and I'm so excited to talk to you about beer in New England.
I'm so excited to be here.
So let's start off with the basics here on Pilgrims Digress. I like to start off talking about your personal experiences in relationship with New England. What's your deal with New England, Erika?
So I was born and raised here. Grew up right outside of Massachusetts and went to college in Rhode Island. So my gateway beer was actually Narragansett. So that's what set me off on this whole, I saw your hat.
Nice. It's a staple of mine too. Cool.
Yeah, so born and raised, I lived in DC for about 6 months and came right back to New England. This is home and I have no plans of ever leaving.
Okay, awesome. So you're a true blue.
I will travel. I do love travel.
Sure.
I'll put that in perspective. But in terms of home, New England will always be home.
Great. And you're in Mass now, right?
I am. Yep.
Awesome. This is a question I like to get from everyone because I did not grow up in New England. I grew up in a couple places, but and now I'm raising my own kids here. But what did you do as a kid that other people away from New England might not have been able to do as a kid?
As a kid, we did a lot of historic sites. So we walked the Freedom Trail on weekends. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. We, Lexington and Concord are right nearby. So is Salem. So all of these really historic places are literally our backyard. So it's really exciting. My college roommate's from Connecticut, and she always wants to come visit and go to these places. And here I am like, oh my God, I've been there so many times.
Yeah. I know. That's like, when I first moved here, I just noticed how old everything was.
Yeah.
I grew up, you mentioned DC. I grew up around DC in high school, and everything's just new there. And the only thing to do around there is just eat and spend money. So when I moved up here, I said, oh, there's like interesting things to do, and I don't have to spend a whole lot of money. You know, the scenery and the history. It's great.
True.
And the snow was probably great for you as a kid, huh?
Yes, I do love the snow. I love the seasons. That's probably my favorite thing about New England.
That's my next question. What's your favorite thing about New England?
Fall. I absolutely love fall and the foliage. The best thing to do on a Sunday afternoon in the fall is to just drive and look at the sights and look at the beautiful foliage, sneak in a brewery there. Perfect Sunday.
Yep. Indeed. All right, Erika, let's get into what your deal is. I found you on the Instagrams. That's what the old people call it, I guess. And we got in touch there, and I noticed how great your content was and how popular you were there. And you don't necessarily call yourself a beer reviewer, but you're kind of like a promoter. How'd you get into this? What's your deal? And first of all, let's throw down the tag there. What's your username on Instagram, and what's your goals there? What are you doing there, and how'd you get into it?
So I am at BostonBeerGirl_EJ. So being from the Boston area, the brewery scene has totally blown up. There are so many awesome beer places, both bars, breweries. Just the selection up here is incredible. So going to school in Rhode Island, we were looking for that cheap beer. I was never a big Miller Lite, Bud Light person. Being in Rhode Island, I kind of skewed towards going to Narragansett. So we had this one liquor store we always went to in college. I went in for my weekly Narragansett to prepare for the weekend. And the cashier said, "Oh, Erika, there's a tasting in the back. You should go see. It's all Narragansett." And I said, "Oh, I know what Narragansett tastes like. I'm okay." She said, "Oh, no. They have a chocolate donut porter that they did a collaboration with a local donut place. You have to go try it." And I said, "Oh, no. I only like light beer. This is just my weekend beer." So with a little more coaxing, she got me to try it, and it was just incredible. I had no idea that I would ever like a dark beer. It was a chocolate donut porter in collaboration with Allie's Donuts. I still tweet at Narragansett probably twice a year asking them to bring it back because it was that good. So after that, I just love trying all sorts of new things. The craft beer scene wasn't a big thing in Rhode Island when I went to college there. But moving back home after college, me and my boyfriend were just looking for fun, cheap places to hang out with our friends. So that was when the brewery scene was really starting to pop up. I remember we went to night shift like a week after it opened with our friends. We made sandwiches and we had like a little picnic dinner. We got flights, tried all their beers. So it really, for me, my beer Instagram kind of blossomed when I realized that my personal Instagram was turning into all beer pictures. And my boyfriend said, "Why don't you just start one for beer? We go to so many breweries. You're always trying new things. You have an Untapped, but this way you can go on Instagram. You can see the photos of the beer, the places you've been, just a way to document it." So that's what it started as. And then it just totally exploded. There's quite the community on Instagram, especially in the beer world. So being tapped into that and meeting people who are also interested in beer, it's been an incredible journey. I've been doing this for it was 2 years back in February. So it's been a great journey and I can't wait to see what's next. And I get so many awesome opportunities.
That's great. It warms my heart that Narragansett was your door. I love Narragansett because it's like you got your swills, the buds and the cores and all that. Narragansett's just, I feel like it's just right over the edge of that, just right there. But then they got rebought out, right? I forgot how many years ago that was. They got somebody local bought them, and they just opened the brewery there in Rhode Island, and they're kind of putting out some more interesting things too. So it's definitely a favorite of mine too. So, well, that's a great story. I love that you're just kind of doing what you love, and that's what my show is all about. It's all about finding people who are doing what they love, and me just finding out about it because that's what I like to do. That's what I love. So you mentioned a little bit about the context in which you like to drink. You mentioned the sandwiches, the picnics and stuff. What's some of your other favorite context in which to drink beer here in New England?
So one thing that's really started to pop up lately are beer gardens. So my boyfriend has just moved to Boston. So I've been spending a lot more time there. So we've done the Trillium Garden. He lives right near the Cisco Beer Garden. So I've been there quite a few times. But it's just a great scene. There's so many local beers, so many different offerings. There's local music, and especially with the Cisco one, they have all these other businesses that are in there. So you can get Luke's Lobster, you can get Flatbread Pizza. So just to see all of these businesses come together is really incredible. So you can spend a whole day there. You can go for one drink. It's just a great scene to be at. And it's such a different experience than going to your traditional bar or even a brewery.
Yeah, even here in Central Mass, there's farmers markets that gather around it. And I'm following a guy on Instagram. I think you do too. He has an oyster cart, and he runs around and sells oysters at all these. I'm trying to get a hold of him and get him on the show too. I love clams and oysters. Yeah, just sitting around, being able to interact with other people. Before we started recording, we talked a little bit about Stone Cow. Tell me what you like about that place.
It is the most beautiful spot. It's this rustic, It's on a farm, so it has this beautiful view. It's in this beautiful wooden building. They have live music. When I went, they had a ginger snap ale that was, I still think about that beer. It was like drinking a ginger snap cookie. It was unbelievable, and I'm kicking myself for not getting more than one growler just
Does
to
it have
hoard
that
for myself.
hint of cinnamon in it?
Oh yes,
Oh man.
but like just enough so it wasn't
Yeah.
overpowering. It was
Wow.
so good.
I really like their sour. It's like one of the few sours I'll like look forward to drinking. I'll try anything, but I remember trying the sour. So good. Have you had their barbecue on the weekends?
I haven't.
Oh, it's some of the best for sure. They do it in a big like brick oven thing, and it's the line. Well, I waited in line for 45 minutes or to an hour when last time I went. It's
Oh my goodness.
insane. Yeah, they got ice cream there too. And one thing my wife is kind of sneers at is keep people bringing their kids. And like I got a 6 and a 4-year-old, and I was like, let's bring them. She's like, that's weird. It's like I don't know. It's for me. It's like this promotes responsibility. You know what I mean? It kind of just says this is more than about the beer.
It's tough. That's a really controversial topic in the beer world. People get upset. I'm in a few beer groups on Facebook, and anytime someone brings up that thread, it always gets shut down. So my thing is, if you want to bring your kids to a brewery during the day and you bring games for them, you bring snacks, they are perfectly taken care of. Absolutely bring your kids there. However, if you are just drinking and your kids are running around screaming, knocking things over, that's when it gets a little dicey.
I wonder if the businesses actually like have that conversation. The owner with employees, like, hey, what do we do if, you know?
So Untold Brewing in Scituate, that's something that they've really grappled with. And they came out with this policy for the summer, and I think that's their policy moving forward, where you can bring your kids all day long, but once it hits 7:00, it's 21 plus. So I think that's a really great compromise, because at 7:00, like you're looking for that beer drinking adult scene. So plus 7:00, a lot of kids are making their way to bed.
Yeah, mine are in bed now. Now, are they sleeping? That's a different question. What do you make of the craft beer boom overall, just in the country? So my first craft beer was probably 2005, and it was in Maryland at the original Dogfish Head.
Oh, wow.
That was my very, very first craft beer, right? So my buddy's like, you're going to have this. So they handed me a sifter with a 120 IPA. And so I said, what is that? I took it, man.
That's a day ender.
Yeah, it was. And so since then in my life and brain, you know, then Sam Adams got bigger. Who's in San Diego there? Bastard. Whatever they are. Who at the Stone?
Oh, Stone.
Bastard. Random swear word. Stone got big and all that happened. So what do you make of is it a boom? And I've asked other brewers this too, and I've got a couple different answers. Is it a boom, and is it a bubble? Do you think it's a bubble? You think I'm interested in like the numbers, like how many of these new craft breweries are succeeding or failing? Do you have a take on that?
So I think it's definitely a boom. They're popping up everywhere. But on the same token, I'm wary about calling it a bubble. Like obviously, as more and more come on the scene, there are going to be some that unfortunately fail. However, I think it's really interesting, especially in my own friend group, as we're planning what breweries we want to go to. If you have a brewery that's maybe a few miles from another brewery, that's going to make me want to go there more, because I can do a few in one afternoon. So a lot of people are worried about competition. Oh, there's already a brewery there. I can't go to that town. Oh, I can't go that close to it. Where I almost see that as a benefit for both of them, because then you're more of a destination.
That's true. That's a good point. I think of Greater Good. I asked one of those guys, I said, same question, says this Bubble. He said, he says, I don't care. We're that good. I believe him
they
too.
won the most tasty IPA from the Mass Brew Bros in a blind taste testing.
I saw that, yeah.
I was in the New England chapter, so.
Cool. Yeah, he wasn't worried at all. But I'm seeing a lot of little guys that are, hopefully I can see them make it. And it's interesting because I think a lot of it has to do with what we just talked about. They're providing the atmosphere and the context so much more different than what's been provided for people before. I've been in tap rooms. Sometimes I'll find myself in tap rooms and I'll look around and go, they're not like me. They're like in their 50s and 60s. Have you seen this? And I'm like, these are usually the guys or gals that are in the Applebee's or the TGI Fridays or the dive bar in town, but they're here now. So not only they're getting, the millennial-ish, that's me. Actually, I'm a exennial or something. I don't know. They're getting people our age-ish, and they're poaching, so to speak, from the Gen X and up too, which is interesting. So I can see it going for a while. What do you think about legalization of the marijuanas? Is that hurting or helping? Do you know what's your take on that?
I don't necessarily see a correlation. I think in terms of like beer tourism, yeah. Because you can go out to Northampton, there are a bunch of breweries out there. You can swing by the dispensary while you're there. Same in Hudson. You have Medusa, you have Lost Shoe right next door in Marlborough. You can hit the dispensary there. So I think in terms of beer tourism or weed tourism, maybe they can have this helpful relationship, but I don't know. I know avid craft beer drinkers who don't smoke whatsoever or aren't into marijuana at all. And I also know the same is true. I know people who primarily smoke and don't drink alcohol at all.
Right.
So I think that they're just two great things about Massachusetts, and hopefully they help one another, but I don't necessarily see a correlation.
I dig that. I get that. Because I remember people were talking about, when we legalize it, what's going to, because some people are worried that the tobacco or alcohol industries are going to buy up. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. See it go forward. But what else? Bubble boom. What's trending? We talked a little bit about context, but what else as far as taste or style or substance? What's trending right now with beer, maybe here in New England and overall in the country?
So I'm really excited. I am the kind of girl who I have a very broad palate. I like all kinds of beer. There's really not a style that I don't like. Usually brown ales are tough. They're a hit or a miss for me, but I think that we are just over the phase of hazy New England IPAs, which I'll admit I enjoy one. I'm drinking one right now. I have Lamplighter's collaboration with Aeronaut, their To Infinity and Beyond double IPA, which is super hazy, with dry hopped with Eureka and Galaxy. So super juicy, super tropical. I'm enjoying it. However, it's really frustrating when you go to a new brewery and it's like, here are my 6 IPAs, 5 are New England IPAs, and oh yeah, we made a stout. I'm not overly impressed. So what I'm really excited to see and what I've been trending towards lately is I want to see your Kolsch. I want to try your lager. I want to try your Pilsner. It can be such a simple, for a lot of, especially people who came in during the New England IPA trend, it's a simple beer to them. But if you talk to brewers, that's what they're drinking anyway. They're brewing the New England IPAs because there's the demand, but they really want to be drinking the lagers, the Pilsners, the Kolsches. So I'm really excited. That's been a big thing this summer, and a nice crispy Pilsner on a hot summer day is perfect.
Yes, I agree. I love a Pilsner. I've also been kind of putting my toe into the beers with the fruit in them. At first, I was afraid, but then I was petrified. And then I had the best one. Well, I always liked the Gansett Shandies. And then they came out with the watermelon one, which is super good. And then
I don't know if you've had this. And one of my other first craft beers, is Harpoon. I've been a loyal Harpoon guy for a very long time. Because and they're employee owned, which I really like. But Harpoon teamed with Polar to make like these kooky seltzer fruity things. It was so good.
They are so good.
So that's I like where that's going a little bit, and I think Wachusett led the way with that with their blueberry. That was very popular. I mean, I was drinking that Super Bowl 2007, I think, way back there, and it's great. I drive right past it every day. I'm always like, I need to stop. I can't help myself. But have you been there to their beer garden recently?
I haven't been to Wachusett's, but I do have to say they have a watermelon ale out for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
That is incredible.
Yeah, their new beer garden is really nice. They've got their tap room is a have you seen this? They're actually like bar is an old like a 60s train or something that cut out, and they've got 20 or 30. When I first went there, they had 5. It was just like, hey, we got this one called Green Monster. It was like, cool, that's new. But now they got all these different kinds, and they got food over on the side, and they've got some like propane fueled little fires you can sit around. They got live music and the whole nine. It's great, man. They've really expanded, and they've been one of the standbys for years. I think they've been in business since 1994.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I went there with a growler. And the guy looks at it and he goes, "Oh, 2014, this is an antique." I was like, "Oh, old." I'm still using it though. It's great. So trending, we got fruits, we got Kolsch's and Pilsner, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, let's talk about. Give us some secret places to go. What do people not know about yet that we need to go check out? Where and what are we drinking?
So one thing with the beer Instagram, as I'm reaching out to more people and I'm traveling, I was in Chicago back in March for my friend's wedding. I always try to see, what's going on in Chicago, what's going on in these other places. On the same token, those same people reach out to me when I'm back in Boston and say, oh my goodness, I want to trade with you. Can you get me Treehouse or Trillium?
Of course, yeah.
And I always say, great choices. However, are you looking for Treehouse and Trillium to try it because of the name? Because naturally, when you post a Treehouse or Trillium beer, you get more likes on Instagram. That's not a big secret in the Instagram world. Or are you just looking for a great New England IPA? Right. So 9 times out of 10, people are looking for Treehouse or Trillium, but that 1 out of 10 person who is asking, I just want a really good New England IPA from the source. And I always send them Judah, which is a double IPA out of Essex County Brewing in Peabody. They have a really small tap room in Peabody. However, that IPA was that was it for me. And I know it's controversial. When you're in this space, it's so tough to say, oh, this is my favorite beer. But of all the New England IPAs I've had, it's Essex County's Judah.
Wow.
So
very cool. That's the secret tip of the day, folks. Take that and run with it. Appreciate that tip, Erika. Any places that is your absolute favorite?
In terms of places to go to get beer, there is this little spot in Wakefield, Massachusetts, which is a little bit on the North Shore, called Public Kitchen. And the beers that Richie, the owner, is getting on tap, you can't find them anywhere else. He had a Burley Oak tap takeover with all the dreams. It was incredible. We've had beer Instagram or meetups there just because of what you can get on tap there.
Wow.
They're getting stuff out of California. This Thursday, they're actually having a Toppling Goliath tap takeover, which I've loved every beer I've had out of them. So there are just so many great spots in the Boston area and Massachusetts as a whole. What's really exciting is to go to, your local 99 and to find out their horseshoe ale is brewed at Harpoon.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting to see even these chains or places that normally just had Bud Light, Miller Lite, maybe they had Guinness on tap and that was exotic. But they're starting to incorporate in some local craft beer. I think that's really exciting to see.
Excellent. What are your favorite? You mentioned I missed some places. I want to mention a place of mine, but it made me think of any international beers that you're just like, that's it. That's good stuff.
I'm actually going to look on my Instagram because I just had one at Yard House in Linfield. I'm totally blanking on the name.
When I'm looking for an international beer, I go to O'Connor's in Boylston. I think it's in. Have you been there?
Ooh, I have not.
It's a big old Irish pub, and it's kind of, you got to weave your way in and out of it. It's family centered, but they've got probably 30 to 40 different like Irish, Scottish, just straight up Western Europe ales. They've got one of my favorites is Belhaven, an old speckled hen. Really good English stuff. And they do mixes with Guinness. So they'll do something called a black and blue, which is Guinness and want to use a blueberry. They'll do a black and tan. They'll do a black and gold. All these, it's great. And then they have all the liquors, right? So you do snake bite or a car bomb, whatever. It's just a great place to go and have a few.
Awesome.
And it's stuff you never heard of before. You're like, what is that? And they're like, this is out of, South Ireland, blah, blah, blah. I'll take it.
As an Irish Bostonian, there is nothing better than a good Irish pub. Yeah. So I will definitely keep that in mind if I'm ever out in Central Mass.
Yep. What do you got on your Instagram there?
For international beers, I had and I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation, the Guza Boon, which was dubbed the father of sour beers. So it's a champagne-like Belgian sour beer, which has rarely been available on draft in America. In fact, international laws had to be changed in order to even bring it into the U.S.
Interesting. I'll check that out too. Well, maybe you can give me a link for that at some point. We can put it on the show notes, as they say.
Yeah.
Show notes. All right. One thing that was interesting to me, at least when I found you on the gram, you're a girl.
I am.
In the beer space. What's that been like? Any negative experiences? What have been the positive experiences?
Yeah. So I'm a girl who can hold my own, especially in male-dominated industries.
Excellent.
Like this one. I've gotten a lot more confident and comfortable in the space, but I remember just starting out my beer Instagram, walking into a liquor store, and usually a male employee would come up to me and say, oh, the wine section's over here. Oh, the vodka's over here. And I'd say, oh no, I'm looking for your craft beer selection. And they'd always give me a really weird look. Or especially on the Instagram space, lately there's been a lot of backlash. So there were a couple dudes who started a hashtag called Girls Don't Drink Beer. So they were claiming that girls don't actually drink beer. The girls who Instagram beer, they're strictly posing with it for male attention and then not drinking the beer. That is a big fat lie. All of the women that I follow actually drink the beer. And so that was a big thing too for me, is for a long time, I was just posting the beer. For me, it's always been about the beer. I want to promote what I'm drinking.
Yeah.
The atmosphere.
Yeah.
And even trying to get me into photos at the beginning, I was like, oh no, it's not about me. It's about the beer. Yeah. And people, as my following got bigger, people just want to know who you are. Yeah. They want to know who the person is behind your opinions and the places you are. So I've started incorporating myself a little. It's still all about the beer, as it always should be.
Sure.
But yeah, that's been a little tough. So a lot of the females that I follow on beer Instagram have lashed out. We've reclaimed that hashtag. The men who started it actually deleted their accounts. So good riddance.
Yeah, really. How do you go out of your way to... That's weird. Anyway, that's great, though, that you're able to hold your own, as you say, and that I admire that a lot.
It's something I love, so no one's going to take that away from me.
That's right. Hey, let's hit the lightning round. True Blue New Englander. Are you ready?
Right. I am ready.
Have you ever tapped trees for maple syrup?
I have.
How'd that go?
Not New England, though. It was in Quebec.
It was almost New England.
Close enough.
We almost got it. We gave it up. You ever been ice fishing?
I have not.
Me neither. I really want to go. Apparently, you drink beer while you're doing it.
Count me in.
I know, right? You ever been to a sports game?
Of course. Everything but the Patriots.
Oh, really? I've been to only the Patriots. Let's switch.
Ah, okay.
What was your best game that you've been to?
Oh my goodness. We went to the Red Sox. It was right after opening weekend, and I drank Lord Hobo's 617 Titletown. Had the
Lord
best
Hobo
view
is
right behind home plate. So great game, great beer, great company. I was with my boyfriend. I'm sure he'll love to hear that. Yeah, great game.
Sweet. You ever been snowmobiling?
I haven't. It's something I've always wanted to do, though.
That's a liquor thing, isn't it? Oh, because you know what? It's going to be snowmobiling. You don't want to bring beer to that.
No.
It'll be an explosive time. You ever seen a ghost?
No, but I'm actually really afraid to say that out loud. I'm one of those people who I believe, mostly because I'm terrified to say I don't.
Reasonable. You ever said wicked pissa?
I can't say that I have. Usually I use wicked as a modifier.
An adverb or an adjective?
Wicked awesome, wicked delicious.
Right.
I've never said wicked pissa.
When my kids started saying it, they were 3 or 4, and I was like, oh, so proud. You ever drank Not Dunkin's donut? What? Not Dunkin's coffee?
Yes. So I actually worked at Dunkin' Donuts in high school during a summer, and while you're on the job, you can drink as much coffee as you want.
Dang.
I haven't drank Dunkin' Donuts coffee since.
I don't blame you.
I'm more of a Starbucks girl. I know that's controversial, but.
Well, I was Starbucks before I moved here, and I just didn't have a choice. Become one of us. You ever been hiking in the White Mountains?
Not hiking, but I've been camping.
Ooh, where'd you go?
Up on the Kangamangas. It was beautiful.
Yeah. We stayed in Lincoln, and then we headed over to Conway last week. It was a great time. I'll probably tell some stories before this. I'll go back in time.
Awesome. Did you go to Zeb's General Store?
No, but I feel like I know what you're talking about. We did go to Clark's Trading Post.
Oh, okay.
Which is up in Lincoln. And there was a Sea Dog brewery there, but it was just like a weird, like, offshoot tap room.
Yeah, it's like a brew pub.
Yeah.
Their blueberry's not bad.
I asked them if they had cans, and she looked at me funny. I was like, oh, this isn't the Sea Dog, is it? She's like, no, that's in Maine, bro. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll go there. Hey, would you ever move away from New England?
My boyfriend keeps sending me apartments in Texas and all over the South. Well, it would be fun to visit. I want to go to Austin. I want to go to Asheville. So many great places I want to visit. I don't think I could live anywhere south than Washington, D.C.
Wow. We've had these like 90, 100-degree days, like last 2 days, right?
Yeah.
I grew up in Maryland. That's how it is all the time.
Oh, no. I could not handle that.
So what happens, though, is they air condition everything. So you like run inside like it's cold outside, and then you go in and cool down. But it's just miserable. You're like, oh, I have to go outside. But here I'm like, oh, let's go outside. I don't care. Or at one point, you just got to be like, I got to go outside. It's too hot in my house. That's how it was for me for the last 3 days.
True.
Thanks again, Erika, for being on and sharing all of your great insights into one of my favorite things, beer. And be sure to keep in touch online, and I'll be following you whatever you're doing.
Thanks so much for having me. Cheers.
Cheers. That's my sound.